morning everyone, lovely to have you with me. It's Carol here at Aakash Journals, and as you can see on my desk here I've got a few more past tags to share with you. I'm going to take you through these quite quickly in terms of how I created them, and at the end I will do some close-up photos of each of the tags. So if you don't want to hear me babble on about how I created these tags, please just skip that part of the video, fast forward to where the pictures are, and yeah, hope you enjoy seeing what I've created. So these are the tags I've got here. I've got 9, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, I've got one more video coming up, and then that's all my past tags that I'm going to share. So let me quickly take you through these. So I'm going to pop those up there and start off with this one, created on the 27th of February 2018, and you'll see on this little label here the name Verl. Verl Morels was the lady that showed me the technique for doing my background, so if you see her name on any of these little tags you'll know that that's where my background technique has come from, and I've explained that technique in previous videos of these past tags. All of these backed with black cardstock to make them stand out a little bit. Watercolour paper on top here, created my background with watercolour paint. Love how this turned out, and then I ripped it in half, as you can see, and I put another piece in the background here which I inked with some black soot and then stamped with one of the Tim Holtz stamps. This crow, which again was another stamp that I fussy cut, and this was just black cardstock, but then I used a stamp over the top to create some heat embossing to get this texture on the crow. I hope you can see that. And then I went all over the top with some glossy accents and then just curled up the edges and only glued him down in the middle. And then this I computer generated and just backed with some cardstock, tore a bit of the edge there just to try and mimic what I've done up there. And then pale blue ribbon out of my stash. Obviously I've got some chiffon ribbon here, and I think this was some old Stampin' Up ribbon, not so sure. So that was that one. This one, I believe this was a Stampendous stamp. Can't remember actually, and I can't look because everything's packed up, but I absolutely love this little girl. So I stamped her out and then went over with my felt tip markers, might even have been watercolour pencils, just to give her a touch of colour. And I've put a little heart here which I punched out and coloured, and then I've gone over the top of her here with some glitter and dots of glitter on her dress and on her necklace up here. For her bodice, her hairbands and her leggings and her shoes, I've gone in with some glossy accents. Created the background just with Tim Holtz Distress Ink technique and with some splotches of watercolour over the top. Did a little bit of stamping, as you can see down here and up here. That was through a stencil, this chevron behind where the girl's hair is. Washi tape down here to kind of ground her, and up here. And I've used a bottle cap with some acrylic paint to create these swirls. So there's a little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit there to try and pull in with the rule of 3. No, I'm lying because there's some more behind these labels here. These were computer generated, same as I did for that. Inked around the edges and then just backed it onto black cardstock to mimic the black cardstock on the back. And then just to kind of finish it off a little, I've gone all the way around with a white gel pen just to do some random dots and dashes to make it look framed, and then a couple of blue brads down here to pick up the blue of her dress and the blue of the ribbon. What else can I tell you? Oh yes, there's some crosses down here, which is again ink blended through a Ranger or Tim Holtz stencil. So that's that one. This one, oh, I love doing this one. This one says Heather Mitchell on here, but it wasn't her technique that I used to create the background. It was Verl Morel's technique. Heather Mitchell gave me my inspiration for this. This was a stencil and I've white heat embossed through it. And then I'm sure you can pick it up on the camera, but you'll certainly pick it up with the close-up photos. I've gone between some of the little heat embossed lines with some rock candy clear crackle paste And yeah, the black is just black acrylic paint. So that's that one. Oh, this computer generated, same as with the other ones. So that tag was created on the 21st of the 2nd, 2018. Oh, this was a fun one to do. This one, again, black cardstock. This was white watercolor cardstock. And then I went around the outside with black soot using a blending tool just to colour it in around the edges. And I've done some heat embossing around the edges to give a little bit of a shine. And then here in the centre, I've used Vermorell's technique, because I can spot that here, but I've also used a blending tool to create this lighter colour around the outside. I had an old, I'm hoping you can see it if I turn it sideways, I had an old filter out of a light bulb, and it was just lying around in the craft room, and I kept on thinking, and I'm sure I can make use of that. So what I tried to do, as you can see, I tried to create a light bulb and use this filament here as the filament inside the main light bulb. Used a bit of glitter at the top here. This is glossy accents over the top of this background, and it's quite a thick layer, and I've used it not only to create the glossiness of what would be the glass of the light bulb, but also to embed my filament in to hold it. Computer generated label down here, and again backed onto black cardstock. So really had fun doing that, and that was created on the 13th of February 2018. You might recognise this. This is one of Tim Holt's entomology stamps. So again, I use Vermorell's technique to get my green background. Then I stamped over the top with a France Papillon stamp. I think that's called Crackles, and used black soot for that. Got it happening down here towards that edge, and up here a little bit at the bottom down here. Stamped a circle, did some heat embossing and added some glitter to it as well. Then used watercolor paint to fill in with colour inside that circle. Stamped this bug onto the watercolor paint when it was dry, stamped it again and cut out the body and the wings, and also colored those and went over with glossy accents. And then just to take the heat embossed color from around the circle up into my tag so that it would blend a little bit better, I've just done some silver leafing up here and a little bit more down here, so it kind of goes down in a diagonal. And that one was created on the 9th of February 2018. Used some thread to tie around my green ribbon up there. So that's that one. Staying with the entomology theme, again, black cardstock on the back, white watercolor paper or card on the front. Used Verl's technique again, and did a mixture of browns and yellows and oranges to create this line of colour down the centre. I've used just a basic ink pad and touched the edges of my white cardstock to it to create my edge all the way around here. Didn't use a blending tool, just sort of touched it to the ink pad and let it almost wick in, but not much. Didn't wet the edge so that it didn't really wick in that much. It just picked up just a slight edge of colour. I used some pearlescent texture paste through a stencil to create a rectangle in the background here to give a little bit of dimension. This is an actual piece of bark that I brought back from a holiday to the Azores. This is, I think, one of Tim Holtz's butterfly stamps. Stamped it out, coloured it using the same colours here, and then went over it with quite a few layers of Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to make it slightly more sturdy. And I hope you can see it's slightly dimensionalized. If I tilt it a little bit more, there you go, slightly dimensionalized with a foam pad just there. And the wings are just up and balanced or resting on this piece of bark. And then, same as always, computer generated, ink the edges, and some black cardstock. So that was created on the 1st of the 4th, 2018. Oh, I love doing this tag, absolutely loved it. Again, black cardstock on the back, white watercolor card here, and again another one of Verl's techniques here. I think that might have been Payne's Grey on here, not so sure. Once that was dry, I played around with one of the Tim Holtz stencils using the positive die cuts and also the negative. Colorized my cardstock first, made some splotches, inked around the edges of each one of these little bricks to make them stand out a little, and also went round the edges once I'd stuck them down onto the cardstock. You can hardly see it, but it does make them stand out a little bit more. Obviously use some splatters of the same ink, and once I'd glued those down and arranged them on here, put a couple of little computer generated labels on top. I didn't want to waste the negative of the die cut, so I put it down in this bottom corner to try and balance it out, and colorized some muslin behind, frayed that, and then I went over the top. I hope you can pick it up. There should be a slight shimmer on that negative die cut. Maybe not, I hope you can pick it up on the pictures. Went over the top with some silver foil just to make it pop a little bit, and again carried these computer generated labels down onto here. And this tag was created on the 2nd of February 2018. Just love playing with that technique. And if you watch my channel, you may well have seen some art journal pages where I've used the same idea. Really got carried away with that, loved it. Another tag here, again, black cardstock on the back, a watercolor card on the front. And again, as you can see, I've used Verl's technique to create the colour on the back and also on this piece of watercolour paper. And I've backed this and dimensionalised it. There you go, you can see it with foam pads. I went across both this top portion and the background with some silver foiling. Hope you can see. So that's in a diagonal top left to bottom right hand corner. Just a little bit of muslin that I frayed up from top of here to create my focal element. Computer generated sentiment on the top, backed with black cardstock, and then you see me do these little hearts all the time. I obviously was going through a phase at the time, so I've got my little heart, and I would have used my felt tip pens to colour that, dark around the outside edge, lighter on the inside, and then I've used some rock candy crackled paste on the top, and I've dimensionalised that as well. So that was created on the 30th of January 2018. And then finally the last tag, love playing with this stencil. Again, black cardstock on the back, white watercolour card for the front, and I've done Verl's technique. That little label there tells me that that's what I did. I'm not sure of the name of this stencil, but I used the same pearlescent texture paste as I used on this one through that stencil to create that texture on it, and then went in with some mulberry paper down here and another one of these little tiny hearts in the center. This is very similar to another tag that I showed in a previous video of these past tags, and I think in that one I actually made more use of this dimensionalized texture paste through the stencil by running paint down by the side of it and using the slightly raised texture to channel my paint to my focal element. The focal element was near as damn it the same as this one, except I added some, I think it was turquoise, very fine grade wire that I created a circle with. So very much the same sort of idea, just a slight variation. So there we go, everybody. Hope you enjoyed seeing these. As I said before, close-up photos at the end for you to have a look at if you're interested. I have a few more, as I said, so there will be one more video of these past tags for you to have a look at, and that will probably be up for you to have a look at next week. So until then, thank you so much as always for watching. Have a great week. Take care now. Bye bye.